Welcome back to the Fractured Leg News Desk. We have finished the BKBBL regular season, and we are here for the playoff preview. 16 teams have qualified for the playoffs, and we have 8 matchups that we're going to go through and give you our 2 cents on. Isn't that right, Coach?
You got it, Fry. Playoffs are the best time of the year. It's very exciting. Let's get into it.
Kicking us off, we've got the Rigel Rats versus the Fighting Urukai, a rookie Skaven team who made an absolute explosive play and broke into the lead really early this season, alongside the veteran Fighting Urukai, who had a bit of trouble this time around.
That's exactly right, Fry. The Fighting Urukai, they are a fraud team. They made the playoffs thanks to 2 forfeits at the very last minute. Some people are talking about maybe there was a little underhanded, corruption going on. And the commissioner of this league, they should probably look at that, because if I were any other team, I'd be very suspicious of the Fighting Urukai having made the playoffs at all this year.
So you're saying you're betting on the Rats for this one?
Absolutely not. Are you kidding me? I'm betting the corruption continues. Smart money's on the Fighting Urukai to win this because they have no reason to possibly beat everyone's favorite team. This is a corrupt league. They're definitely going to get through somehow, and that somehow is not legitimate. But nonetheless, bet your money. This is my lock of the week.
Moving on to our next matchup, we've got the Rollfolk Raiders versus the Cornate Blood Services. Both teams have had a bit of a mixed bag of the season, with the Cornate Blood Services absolutely exploding in the second half after their fantastically successful blood drive. What do you got to say?
Yeah, no, this is going to be a great matchup. It's the closest one in the seeding, 8 versus 9, so we're all watching this one very, very closely. But you're right, the Blood Services did extremely well ever since they had that blood drive, and I donated to that blood drive, so I think maybe some of the credit can go to me.
Up next is the Imperial Wood versus the Bad Moon Hackers, a classic game of Wood Elves versus Orcs. I have a sneaking suspicion that the Elves will probably get out of this one with a couple broken bones.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, so long as a couple is halfling for all of them. These elves have not dealt very well with the punchy recently. Coach's parlay of the day is that these Bad Moon Hackers are going to beat up on these elves. You can take that one to the bank.
Our next matchup is the Blood Peaks Bombers versus the Hellspire Havocs. Matt Heraldic, a veteran coach, taking on a rookie orc team that's done pretty darn well for themselves this season. And the Havocs only getting into the playoffs because of 2 incredibly lucky games against rookie coaches. Coach, what you got for us?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't really follow either of these teams very much this year, but I looked at the stat sheet and it seems like they hit a lot, so I'm expecting a low-scoring game. I got nothing else.
Of course, why would you have any commentary? It's only your job and the entire reason you're here. Up next, we've got the veteran necromantic team, the Town of Halloween, versus the Omphalos Nidhogg Lizardman team. Both of these teams have played in the league before. The Town of Halloween, I think, is a little out of season, though. They've just missed their chance to play at Halloween in the playoffs, so I think they're going to be on a downturn, while the Lizardmen have been struggling all season as well. So I'm not sure what the result of this one's going to be.
Well, I am, because unlike you, Fry, I actually pay attention to these games. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that the Town of Halloween, they're going to have a sugar crash, because they just loaded up on candy. They're probably sporting a coach gut right now. And whereas the, however you pronounce them, I think they're just chomping at the bit for a spotlight. So I'm going to go with the Nomdalos Big Hollows for this one, Fry.
Up next, we've got the Soul Collectors versus the Penn State Pustules. Soul Collectors have done really well for themselves this season, didn't have a hard start like they did in Season 20, and they're in the top 6, so they're doing incredibly well. The Penn State Pustules, however, have played a lot of boring games of Blood Bowl, so expect this one to be slow.
I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say slow here, Fry. I mean, good Blood Bowl games involve a little grind. I don't mind that at all. But yeah, I think you might be right. These Soul Collectors are undervalued, underrated. People don't have their eye on them. I think they put together a pretty good season for themselves. Meanwhile, the Pustules, their entire game plan has been all about insulting and combating and planning for their hopefully inevitable battle against the Icebreakers. A lot of insults back and forth between those 2 coaches. I don't think Penn State's even been thinking about this game. I think they're sleeping. You can take this one and bet on these Soul Collectors, because they're definitely going to win this one. I'm going to go so far as to call this my shoe-in of of the week.
Speaking of the Icebreakers, they're part of our next matchup versus the Ignis Valley Swamp Raiders. Rookie Norse team really taking on the world this season, and the Penn State Pustules off the pitch, as it turns out. The Ignis Valley Swamp Raiders, a veteran Black Orc team who has done pretty darn well for themselves this season, considering last season they ended off with a little bit of a sad game. Coach, input?
I think this is going to be a great game. I'm really excited to see what happens. The Ignis Valley Swamp Raiders, they're veterans, like you said. They're going to go in there. They're going to punch it up. The ice guys, they don't wear armor, so that could be bad. Meanwhile, it's going to be at their home rink though, so I don't know how well the swamp guys are going to do in all the frozen tundra. I don't know. Call this one a coin flip.
And the final matchup of our playoff bracket is the Iron Gatekeepers versus the Desert Desiccants. The Iron Gatekeepers are obviously last year's champions. They got to be pretty disappointed that they weren't top of the regular season this year, instead being beaten out by a mere rookie Skaven team. They're blaming some coaching from the Drunken Icebreakers on giving them an early lead in the season, but you can't always go around blaming others like that. And the Desert Desiccants, a returning Khemri team, getting their beats in throughout this season. They've done pretty well for themselves, but they only narrowly avoided elimination. So, Coach, final thoughts.
What are my thoughts on it? I think you don't bet on a champion, Fry. I think you're doing a little dirty there with all that. Seems like you might be a little bit bitter because last year I got the prediction right. I bet on the Gatekeepers. You bet on someone else. I can't even remember. The Gatekeepers won. You owe me $5, Fry. That's where I'm at with this one. Always bet on the champion. Gatekeepers all the way.
We both know that's not what happened, and it's more than $5. Roll the tape. Coach, who do you think is going to take it to the end? Give us one favorite and one underdog.
Well, that is the question, isn't it, Fry? I'm going to go with the Nighthawks for my favorite. They're on an absolute tear. They're doing amazing.
Interesting strategy. I'm going to take the Iron Gatekeepers as my favorite. They already have a round 1 bye and are in the second round of the playoffs. And
yeah, I mean, it's amazing what the College of Illusion can do with AI these days. After the break, we're going to go to a different story about something else entirely.
No breaks. We still have to do our picks. So, just like last year, the way we'll do this is we'll pick both a favorite and a long shot favorite. Starting with you, Coach, because you want to get out of here so bad, so I'm going to make you do work.
It's hardly work when you know what you're talking about, Fry. My favorite is the Iron Gatekeepers, just like last year, no matter what kind of evidence you contrive. And my long shot, you know what? Like I said before, the Soul Collectors looking really good. I think they're underrated. I got the Soul Collectors. I know they're technically a top 16, but I still think that people consider them a long shot, so it counts.
Alrighty. Well, my favorite is going to be the Imperial Wood, because if they can keep their Star War Dancer above the ground and not 6 feet under, I think they have an incredibly solid chance of taking the championship this year. And my long shot is going to go to the Fighting Urukai, because if they can keep their corruption shenanigans going, they might just have a shot. That is all for our BKBBL playoff preview. I've been Fry Fistlicker, and congratulations to those of you who made it to the playoffs, and best of luck in your games. And if you didn't, stay tuned for our Challenge Board League update soon. Good night.